So in my hand, I've got a load of seedlings that we produced for the tower farm that you can see in the background here. I'm going to walk you around. I'm going to show you quite how simple it is to go from here to a full grown butterhead lettuce in 5 weeks, plus many other different types of crops. So let's have a wander around and I'll show you how it all works. Right, so let's start with the most important part, and that's how easy this is to run. Now, that is facilitated by something called a dosatron, and a dosatron without any use of electricity, i.e. this can be off-grid with no electricity usage at all, will deliver the appropriate amount of liquid nutrient into this big black tank, and then this big black tank will then deliver the mixed nutrient to each individual tower when they need it. It's a gravity-fed system. This is the reason this is up a little bit, because each of the towers has their own bullcock in each of the bases. So they will ask for more nutrient, which will simply be delivered by gravity when they're needed. On this side, we've got positive water pressure going into it. So on this side here, you can see a hose coming from a tap, nothing special. Tap is constantly on. So it pushes up through here, it goes across here, and each of the sections of this dosatron have got pipes that suck up the appropriate amount of nutrient, which can be adjusted here, and then is delivered to the big tank here that has it also got its own bullcock. So when this is in need of water, it will automatically push it through, mix the nutrient into this tank, and then they will then be delivered down to the individual towers. Depending upon the time of the year, the heat, lots of different factors, the towers will drink different amounts. So at best we had 35 degrees, and they were going through quite a bit of water. They were probably going through about 8 litres a day, something like that. There was a big old pull on it. But essentially you don't need to worry about that because it's all automated. And we've never really had any problems with this part of the process. There are lots of systems out there that are massively complicated and require electrical pumps to pump the water around, do all of that kind of stuff. And essentially that's just more pieces to go wrong in my mind. This thing works beautifully on its own, no electricity, off-grid. Thank you very much. Okay, so water has been delivered to this tower. We've left this tower empty so you guys can see how this works. So with this tower, it is 11 pots tall, it is 44 ports, and the way it works is truly very simple. You just have what is essentially a fish tank pump in the base down here that will push the water all the way to the top of the tower, and then through gravity it pulls along in that top part, and there are holes all the way around it, and it drops down the inside of the tower over the roots and gives it a constant, perfect nutritional balance that it is needed within this. Water comes down, goes all the way down to the bottom, and then just gets pumped straight back. It's a recirculating system, and one that you need to clean out pretty irregularly, to be honest with you. The beauty of this system is that they are all separate, these towers. They all have their own feed going in, but it's a one-way feed. And with systems, you hear about lots of other different types of systems. If a system is one singular tank of liquid nutrient, then you basically have the problem that if one of those gets some sort of pathogen, Pythium or something like that, then your entire crop is wiped out in one foul swoop. Whereas with this, you can happily, if you get Pythium, these things happen, then you take this away, you clean it down massively, you heat treat it, probably put it in a dishwasher, something like that, and then you put it back out for work, and it's back operating within a couple of hours, and you've lost 40 plants, as opposed to an entire system. So that is a definite benefit of having their own individual tanks. So looking at how the system is plumbed in, this is a very basic setup, don't get me wrong. What we've got here is a waterproof electrical box, and that houses the electrics for the actual pump going into the tower. And then you can see the white pipe that runs along the back, and that white pipe is then the water that's coming out of the black Bowser. and you can see a white smaller pipe going into the side of the tower, and that is the pipe that is then connected to the bullcock, that then the moment the bullcock comes down, it goes down, it comes up that pipe and then into the actual unit. Again, whole thing is run by gravity. There's no electricity when it comes to the automatic feeding system. Super simple with very little that can go wrong. Seedlings. These are ones that we produced in the background. It is super simple to do. In this case, what we're using is something called a root riot. And what that is a plug that you buy. It's soil bound and it's pulled together and held firm by a polymer. I believe it's from potatoes, I'm not quite sure, but whatever it is, it basically allows you, it comes with liquid nutrient already in the actual unit. You drop the seed into it, you then put it in one of those little glass biodomes, you leave it for the seed to pop, you let it to grow for probably 10 days, 2 weeks, and then you get this. And then, quite simply, you do, in this case, we have a little hook, so there's no plastic used with the actual unit, and you just drop it in like that and you walk away. So it's as simple as that. That's how the seed part works. It goes straight into the tower like this, and then this will then start absolutely cracking out growth. 3 times faster than normal horticulture, 5% water usage compared to normal agriculture. The benefits are massive, 950% more produce in the area compared to normal growing, and essentially they just grow themselves. We spend so little time looking at the system and maintaining the system. You're probably, your biggest part of the entire process is harvesting, admittedly doing the seedlings is one, but the harvesting part is, big, and that's not a huge amount of work. When you're standing here, you're just going in, pulling them out, putting them into bag. Super simple. And what it does is it also allows you to not have to be completely bound to normal growing, which is then field planning way in advance. So with this, you're almost using it like a game of chess, in that your chef or someone in the background decides that he wants to suddenly put something new on the menu, and you go, cool, I will have you lettuce within 5 weeks. I'll have you basil to go in pesto within 6 weeks. You can't do that with normal horticulture. It's so much faster in terms of growth that it is a different dynamic in terms of growing. No slugs, no weeding, no labor on any level like that. It just runs itself. What can I grow, I hear you ask? So let's have a look at what we've got going on here. Now, you've got to understand that we are at the very end of the season. So we are at, I literally think tomorrow is where it's going to turn. So a lot of these plants have been going for some time and a little bit over, but essentially what we've got here is we've got basil that has done our chefs proud all summer. Admittedly, it's bolted recently. You can see the basil leaves. We've got thyme, we've got chives, and down at the bottom we've got flat leaf parsley. Last year I grew one that was an absolute monster. It was nothing but herbs, and it was actually too much for the kitchen. So then we are coming back to this, and this is a stunning, really lovely, chef is coming out here daily and just picking these off. This is a red sorrel, and it's got a really sweet tang, beautiful in a salad and various other bits. So we're going to go over here now, and this was a bit of an attempt. Chef asked us whether we could do fennel, but that essentially is that one. That's fennel, and we've got some kale down at the bottom, which brilliant in smoothies and things like that. Then coming back, we've got frisee lettuce. We've got a rather old pak choy that is also bolted, but pak choy does incredibly well on here. Once again, basil at the top on this one. We've got some calendula here, beautiful edible flowers. They're really expensive if the chef buys them for the restaurant, but they're really great on here. They crack out. So here then we have a bit of a coup, because I took a rhubarb and we trialed that, and the rhubarb has done extremely well. So we've got rhubarb growing here. We've got nasturtium that's just about to flower here. You can see this flower. I'll take it off actually. It's just very lovely. Then we've got peas. which are going beautiful. Look at these purple peas.
Purple.
These are stunning, absolutely lovely. And so late in the season, but you can see we're getting a bit of mildew on them. It's just inevitable at this time of year. But as I say, it's September. It is not the season to be peeing. So then we've got on this side, we have tomatoes, and let's start at the bottom then. We've got tomatoes. You can see tomatoes have done very well this year. This is not the main tomato tower. We've got two others that have been hammering them out. We have kale again. We can see, wow, look at that. This is the thing with growing outdoors on a tower. You're still susceptible to nature. But what we're finding is that there's a really interesting balance. Oh, wow, look at this. Look at those. They are very naughty. There's very little of that kale left. But again, generally they do a pretty damn good job of another bigger predator taking out the smaller predators. So that is kale. Let's move on to this one. This was the main tomato tower. We've left him a little bit. He's a bit unruly, in fact very unruly, but has been producing since May. Some pretty good tomatoes. And we've got this beautiful chili here. This is a purple, stunning chili. It's actually quite cheeky. Then this one here. We've got some really nice peppers going on with that. Then we've got purple basil above, which is generally quite tricky to actually grow. Prefers it hotter, and actually that's done okay. So that's pretty much this tower. Then we have got, so chard does very well as well on there. And then that is about it. But we've been growing some really interesting stuff all season. And it just changes. So we've done loads of different stuff. This is not it. This is just, this iteration. So I'll list what you can do when it comes to the different types of plants, but this is just a description of where we are currently right now. Right, so I hope that was useful for you, just getting an understanding of how the system works, what you can grow on it. Don't get me wrong, you've seen we've got a few predators on this. It is what it is. We're an outdoor farm. I mean, you look behind me at my raised bed behind it and it is absolutely obliterated. So these guys you've got no slugs, you've got no weeding, you've got none of those key things that are really the biggest bane. But essentially, that's how they run. Super simple, massive produce. Anyone can do it.